Good morning, everyone. My name is Saksham. I'm with Shivash. We're from St. Teresa Class 12, and the topic of our project will be financial literacy and entrepreneurship. So, the objective of this presentation will be diving into the financial literacy and entrepreneurship, which means exploring the critical role of financial knowledge in daily life and business success, unlocking the power of basic money skills, which means discovering how saving, budgeting, and investing can support your personal and professional goals, inspiring entrepreneurial ambition, and exploring potential careers and roadmaps. Coming to the simple topic of what is financial literacy in the eyes of a common man. The first thoughts anyone thinks when we think about financial literacy is it's a technical jargon. I don't want to get into it. I am not good at mathematics. How will I understand? It's for rich people. Some people say it means save money. Some people say it means don't take debt. Some people just say I don't care. Some people say stock market is gambling anyways. But the reality is financial literacy is the set of skills needed to handle money wisely, invest effectively, and plan for a comfortable future for you and your family. Now, what you have to do is understand the basic terms like saving, budgeting, investing. You have to also understand how to manage expenses and your income without getting into debt, being aware of your loans, EMIs, and interest rate and how they work, and learning how to invest, save, and budget to ensure you and your family for emergencies. Coming to the common myths, financial literacy is only for the wealthy or experts. The reality is it's for everyone. It's needed for every single person, regardless of your income, because the basic principles of financial literacy apply universally. You need a lot of money to start investing. The reality is you can begin with any amount: 1,000 rupees a month, 2,000 rupees a month, 5,000 rupees a month. You can utilize various strategies and use asset classes as your advantage. Banks and insurance companies always have your best interest at heart. The reality is they are businesses. So the actual motive of the businesses are earning profit. Same with them. Their motive is earning profit. So you have to understand their product and protect your interest. Stock market is just gambling. Well, the reality is with the knowledge and the strategies, it's one of the most powerful tool for building wealth. And Warren Buffett is the biggest example of it. Coming to banks, what is the importance of bank? What are some tools? A bank is a financial institution that accepts deposits from the public, safeguards money, and provides loan and other financial services to individuals, businesses, and the government. The importance of banks is it's a safe place to deposit and protect your money while it grows. It provides loans and credit for personal needs and also for businesses. It encourages saving and investment habits in the society. It acts as a link between borrower and savers while creating a profit, which means it also boosts the economy. It offers digital banking services that make money management way easier and faster. The tools and service provided by banks are saving accounts and FD accounts. Saving accounts are simple accounts where you can withdraw money and deposit money. It gives about 3% per annum return, and the inflation about 6%. So it's just a way to keep your money safe. FDs are a type of account which saves your money while also giving you interest about 7% to 9% depending on the size of the bank. This is much better for growing your wealth or growing your money. Saving account is much better because when you need to do transactions, you need money, and that's why you put your money into saving account. Coming to loans, the personal loan, education loan, home loans, businesses loan, car loan, there are many types of loan which enables your growth and supports you financially. The credit and debit cards, it's easy access to funds and secure payments. Online and mobile banking, UPI, NEFT, IMPS, they're mostly just examples of quick and cashless transactions. Insurance and investment services, they provide financial security and future planning. The financial security is provided by insurance companies, which is also linked to the banks, and investment services some banks provide, which are good for your future planning. Coming to insurance, it's a tool to safeguard your future. Insurance is a financial arrangement in which an individual or business pays premium, which means you pay money to an insurance company in exchange for protection against potential future losses or risks. Protection and peace of mind. Insurance is designed to shield you from unexpected financial losses that could otherwise derail your financial stability, covering areas like health, travel, money, home, life, etc. Now, deciphering the policies, it is a very important and key aspect, which means what premiums you pay, what deductible means, and most importantly, the extent of your coverage. For example, many health insurances have a limit of what room rent you can give per day to a hospital, that is acceptable by them. So for some it's 10,000, for some it's 5. Many people ignore this and then they have to pay out of their pocket. Avoiding common pitfalls, which just means without adequate knowledge, many individuals either overpay or dangerously stay underinsured, leaving them vulnerable. Coming to the stock market, it's a market where pieces of companies, which is shares, are listed and traded. Firms raises money, investors try to grow savings and create wealth. The key points would be there are two markets, primary and secondary. Primary is where the company sells the new shares to raise capital, for example, IPO, and the secondary is the investors trade existing shares with each other on exchanges, which is NSE and BSE in India's case. NSE is National Stock Exchange, BSE is Bombay Stock Exchange. Now, why does the stock market exist? It's an efficient way to fund businesses, price companies, and also allow public participation in the growth of the company. Now, how you earn, which means how we earn retail investors, it's capital gains or dividends. Capital gains simply means the price of a share that you bought goes up. Dividends mean companies decide to give out dividend or give out a piece of their profit to their shareholders. If they want, they can or they cannot. It's their choice. Dividends are not compulsory by any company. Coming to why should you invest your hard-earned money, and if you are investing, what are your options? The main objective of investing in the stock market is capital appreciation over time. The capital means the money you put in. Now, the goal can be achieved by investing in many asset classes. The asset classes simply mean the types of asset that are available for you to invest in. Some of them being fixed income asset, which means they'll give you a fixed income. So government bonds, corporate bonds, PSU bonds, fixed deposit, etc. Coming to equity, equity are two types mostly: the stocks, mutual funds slash ETFs. Stocks are simply a part of a single company, but there are no guaranteed returns. As I told you, the dividends they do not have to compulsory give, and once you buy a share, it does not mean that it will only go up. It could go down, but on average, Nifty 50, which is the top 50 companies of India, has given about 12 to 14% per annum. Equity of mutual funds and ETFs. ETFs are exchange traded funds. What it means is same thing. The guaranteed returns are not there, but instead of buying a single company or a part of single company, you buy a part of multiple companies, multiple sectors, a commodity like gold ETF, silver ETF, Nifty 50, Nifty Bs. There are some examples of mutual fund or ETFs. Coming to things you have to understand and learn before you start investing. So the first thing I would say, which is very important before investing, is maintaining an emergency fund before investing. What it means is when you're investing, you're risking your hard-earned money, right? For maybe get a better return from FDs, from saving accounts, anything. But before you do that, before you put your money on risk, I would suggest to everyone take out a monthly expense and then times it by 6. So 6 months of expenses you have to save before investing anything. Keep it in a bank account, keep it in an FD account, just to be safe if whatever happens, let's say something happens to you, something happens to your family, something happens to your car, whatever. You can use this emergency fund and then you can continue investing. What does the stock like how does the stock market work? It is a very complex market and it is a very complex features. It has very complex features. What I would say is it simply follows the rules of demand and supply. When a stock has more demand, the prices usually goes up if the people are ready to buy at a higher price. If the demand is less, the price mostly falls because people think this stock is overvalued. What is fundamental analysis? What is technical analysis? Fundamental analysis is fundamentally analyzing the companies by using some of the ratios like price to equity, price to book value, ROE, which means return on equity, return on investment, ROI, ROCE, return on capital employed. Just some of the examples we use for fundamental analysis. Technical analysis is using the past as your base and predicting where the market goes. Now, I would say, and even Warren Buffett has said this, technical analysis works till it doesn't. What that means is rely mostly on fundamental analysis rather than technical analysis, just because fundamental analysis 99.9% are accurate, leaving some scams, but technical analysis work till they don't. Coming to how should you invest, what should you invest in, what are your goals for investing, find out that. What is your risk appetite? The rule of thumb is if you're young, your risk appetite is heavy. If you're old, your risk appetite is light. Tenure of investment, same thing. What are your goals? Find out the tenure for it. Diversify. So if you're buying 5 stocks, buy 5 stocks, maybe of 5 different sectors, maybe of 5 different companies, maybe a lot of different growing sectors. Do not buy a single stock very heavy. So for example, I have 10,000 to invest. I buy one stock for 10,000. No, do not do that. buy 3, 4, 5 stocks for the 10,000 rupees you have. Now you have to analyze your investment regularly and rebalance if needed. What that means is analyzing regularly means analyze your stocks, analyze your P&L, which is profit and loss, monthly, weekly, quarterly, half yearly, yearly, whatever suits you, and then rebalance if something or some stock is underperforming. Coming to what are IPOs? IPOs are initial public offerings. It's the term for the first time that a private company sells share of its stocks to the public on a stock exchange like NSE or BSE. It is also referred as going public. It is an opportunity for the company to raise significant capital and for the people to be a part of that growth and earn money by being the part. It allows private investors like the founders, the angel investors, and the family members to cash out, which means to profit out the old investment they already had before the company was public. Some pros and cons would be can raise additional funds in the future through secondary offerings, which means the people buying and selling shares attracts and retains better management and skilled employees through liquid stock equity participation, which means ESOPs. IPOs can also give a company a lower cost of capital for both equity and debt. Now, the cons would be it has a significant legal accounting, marketing cost arises, many of which are just ongoing. It increases your time, effort, and attention required to the management for reporting, as there are many rules. The SEBI, the government is always having eyes on you for providing very accurate, very time taking. Every single report you provide should be very accurate and very up to date. Now, coming to there's also a loss of control and stronger agency problems. So some of the upcoming IPOs that we'll see soon is Amanta Healthcare, which will open on September 1, close on 3. The issue price would be 120 to 126, and it is listing on BSE and NSE, and the lead manager would be Beeline Capital. Some of the other stocks are Rachit Prints, Soaks Lloyd, Sneha Organics, April Paper Tech, Oval Projects Engineering, and every detail from the opening date to closing date to issue price to listing at which stock exchange to the lead manager is provided in the PPT.
A very good morning to one and all present here. My name is 𝐄𝐧𝐭𝐫𝐞𝐧𝐿, and first of all, I would like to thank Saksham for such a wonderful presentation on financial literacy and its benefits to the common man of India. Moving on to the second chapter of this presentation, which is the entrepreneurial landscape in India. Today, we are going to explore the dynamic world of entrepreneurship, innovations, startups, and also the backbone of our Indian economy, micro, small, and medium enterprises. The objectives of this presentation are going to be you to understand what is entrepreneurship, types of entrepreneurship, micro, small, medium enterprises, and their roles in the economy. Government schemes for supporting these kind of ventures, especially micro, small, medium enterprises, which we are going to call MSMEs for the short. And then supporting and financing these ventures. Last but not the least, we are also going to study about what are unicorns in the business world and their significance and rarity. Starting with understanding entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is a process of creating new business opportunities, of organizing resources, and taking financial risks to generate an economic value, to gain profit over the capital you had employed earlier to start the venture. It involves innovation in products, in services, or in methods to generate a product, or maybe in business models. It involves managing uncertainties, managing risks, and developing new processes. It is a subset or a smaller part of businesses which focus on innovation, new venture creation, and significant risk taking. Innovation involves creating new kind of products, services, or a new kind of business model. Sometimes innovation might be in a process of creation of a product. Moving on to risk taking, which embraces financial and operational uncertainties. Risk is nothing but uncertainty of the future, but we know higher the risk, more the chances of the profits, which basically guides each and every business. Last but not the least, value creation, which is the most important object of entrepreneurship, generating profit and value over the capital employed at the early stages. Now, we are going to discuss types of entrepreneurship. Among the various types of entrepreneurship, today we are only going to be discussing 5 of them. First, innovative entrepreneurship. It usually deals with creating new products or services that disrupt or bring a positive change in the market about which we learned in the financial section of this presentation. An example of this was Ola Cabs, an innovator in its field. Moving on to social entrepreneurship. It usually involves solving a social or environmental related problem, promoting sustainability across the globe. An example of this is Selco Solar, which is now one of the leaders in its business model. Third is scalable startup entrepreneurship. It is designed for rapid growth and it is often backed by investors. An example of which is Flipkart, which was backed by angel investors and venture capitalists, which helped it achieve massive growth. Fourth, we are going to talk about small businesses entrepreneurship. These usually involve local and small scale business operations. They might have limited reach, but they still prove essential to us in our day-to-day activities. For example, is the provisional stores, the grocery stores, and the Karachi bakery in Hyderabad, which is a regional bakery in the locality. The business might be small, the venture might be small, but its importance still cannot be neglected. Moving to last but not the least is entrepreneurship. It refers to innovation within an existing large corporation by the employees. When these employees decide to take on entrepreneurial functions, it is known as entrepreneurship, where they come up with new products, new services, or new business models. An example of which is the Tata Group or Tata Consultancy Services of the Tata Group. It usually promotes idealathons and hackathons, which help employees decide new products and new business models. Now, moving on to MSMEs, one of the backbones of the Indian economy. MSMEs or micro, small, and medium enterprises are classified by investment in plant and machinery and turnover under the MSME Development Act 2006, which was amended in 2020. From the name, it's pretty clear that it does not involve large corporations with large availability of funding from the public from sources like equity shares, preference shares, and debentures. At max, it involves medium enterprises. These are classified on the basis of investment in plant and machinery and their turnover. Micro enterprises are the ones which is characterized by an investment in plant and machinery of less than or equal to 1 crore and a turnover of less or equal to rupees 5 crores. On the other hand, small enterprises have a tremendous increase in the plant and machinery investment. Small enterprises may hold plant and machinery assets up to 10 crore rupees, and their turnover can be 10 times, that is rupees 50 crores, 10 times of micro enterprises. Moving on to medium enterprises, which can hold investments in plant and machinery up to rupees 50 crores, and their turnover can be less than or equal to rupees 250 crores. MSMEs are key contributors to our economy, not only in welfare, but also in gross domestic product and national income and employment. They contribute 30% to India's gross domestic product. They have a 45% contribution in exports, as it's usually the handicrafts and potteries which are exported to the foreign and the rest of the world. 110 million jobs were generated by the introduction of MSMEs. Thus, it has proven to be a backbone of Make in India. Now, we are going to study the role of micro, small, medium enterprises in socio-economic development. First role being employment generation. The roles are employment generation, GDP and exports, regional development, entrepreneurship, and innovation. Starting with employment generation. MSMEs are the second largest employer after agriculture. But the better fact, and a lot better fact, is that employment generation in agriculture is usually kind of disguised unemployment. In MSMEs, MSMEs still hold a lot of potential in employment generation, and right now are providing jobs to over 110 million people. GDP and exports contribution have been talked about earlier. And then regional development. MSMEs have significantly brought down regional disparities across the country. Because it is spread across not only urban areas, but also rural areas. It has reduced income disparities and helped backward regions grow. Last but not least, entrepreneurship and innovation. because MSMEs have encouraged self-reliance and promotion of innovation in local products. Now we're going to talk about the role of micro, small, medium enterprises in rural India. In rural India, MSMEs have significantly reduced rural unemployment and migration. As the usual disguise in unemployment in agriculture was was replaced by people taking jobs in MSMEs, it has significantly reduced disguised unemployment as well. Local jobs in khadi and village industries have now become common. It has empowered women and other marginalized groups through self-help group enterprises like 𝐅𝐢𝐧𝐚𝐧𝐿. Utilization of local resources. MSMEs have facilitated the utilization of local resources, especially in Northeast India, where bamboo products are produced by the tribals of the area, which have uplifted them economically as well. At the same time, it has boosted rural industrialization and provided a backbone for large-scale industries. Now, we're going to discuss some government schemes and agencies of micro, small, medium enterprises. The first one is National Small Industries Corporation. NSIC was launched in 1955 to promote, support, and foster growth of small businesses. It supports these businesses by marketing, credit, raw material procurement, and technology. Moving on to District Industry Centers, also referred to DICs. DICs were launched in 1978 by the government as centers which will look after the district's entrepreneurial problems and promote and support small entrepreneurial ventures at a local level with guidance, training, as well as loans. Moving on to one of the key government schemes and agencies for not only MSMEs but all the startups. That was Startup India Scheme 2016. It promotes innovation with tax exemption, funding, and incubation centers. It tries to trigger an entrepreneurship feeling within the youth of the country and promotes scientists and engineers to pursue entrepreneurship as their career. Moving on to Prime Minister's Employment Generation Program. It's a credit link and subsidy scheme for self-employment through micro enterprises. It provides credit as well as subsidies in areas like land, water, electricity, as well as income tax. Now, Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for Micro and Small Enterprises is another government scheme and agency for MSME. Now, moving on with support ecosystems for a startup and finance those startups, which is going to be the next stage of our presentation. Now we're going to study about business incubators and accelerators. Business incubators are incubators and programs which provide shelter to a new startup, to a new enterprise. They support early stage startups with infrastructure, mentorship, and funding for a period of over 1 to 3 years. A great example of which is T-Hub in Hyderabad. Now, there is a slight difference between business accelerators and incubators. Despite being more over the same thing, the difference can be simply understood by a statement. While business incubators help the enterprise grow and walk, business accelerators help the enterprise to take a run and a giant leap. That in a short period of time. Business accelerators help grow in the growing stage of startups. They scale quickly through intensive mentorship and funding over 3 to 6 months. An example of which is Y Combinator style programs in India. Y Combinator style program was based in Silicon Valley and lasts for a short-term period, that is usually 3 to 6 months. It is a highly intensive programs helping early stage startups to grow rapidly by providing seed funding, mentorship, and networking opportunities. Mentorship usually involves a more grown enterprise or an experienced owner or enterprise guiding someone who is not as experienced, someone who is owning these startups. There are multiple government indicator programs in India. Their objectives are to promote entrepreneurship, support early stage startups, encourage diverse entrepreneurs, facilitate funding, and strengthen India's startup ecosystem. The benefits of it are that the startup owners get subsidized office spaces, they get grants, they get lot of mentorship, networking, as well as IP guidance. Now, there's a proper process for registration. First, we have to register on Startup India portal. Then we have to submit our plans for our business. And also we have to select our preferable government incubator program. Out of the multiple plans submitted, there will be a short listing done by the Ministry of MSMEs. If your plan is good enough and competent and relevant to problem solving, the plan will be shortlisted and you will be admitted to the government incubator program. Now, discussing some of these government incubator programs. The first one comes to my mind is Atal Incubation Centers. They promote world-class incubation in terms of health technology, agriculture technology, renewable energy, and artificial intelligence. The second one is Technology Business Incubators. They provide research and development infrastructure and technical mentoring in deep technology, information technology, and electronic-based businesses. Now, Startup Village Entrepreneurship Program is a rural-based government incubator. It supports rural entrepreneurship ventures and provides them with training as well as seeds related to the rural ventures. For example, an agricultural venture would be supplied with HYV or high-yielding variety seeds on subsidized rates. Moving to the next stage of a presentation, that is unicorns. A unicorn is a privately owned startup owned by an or multiple individuals, but it is not listed on the stock market. It is valued, which is valued over a 1 billion US dollars. India is the third largest unicorn hub globally, which is a matter of pride for us. We are behind only the United States and China. Netherlands is India's first unicorn for this fiscal year, and it is valued at 1.34 billion US dollars. Now, these are the list of some top 5 unicorns in India. Flipkart is an e-commerce marketplace valued at 37.6 billion US dollars. PhonePe is a UPI app providing payments and financial services and is valued over 12 billion US dollars. Polygon is a blockchain scaling platform and is valued over 10 billion US dollars. Dream11 is a fantasy sports platform valued over 8 billion US dollars. And Razorpay is a fintech payments gateway, which is valued over 7.5 billion dollars. Now we'll move to financing a startup, because securing a capital and financing is the critical step for any startup. Understanding different avenues and sources for funding the startup are extremely significant if we want a startup to succeed in the near future and actually solve problems which we want. Starting with crowdfunding. Crowdfunding involves raising small amounts of capital from a large number of individuals, the aggregate of which is a large amount of capital. This is done through online platforms like Keto and Impact Group. These platforms facilitate providing the promoters and the owners of the startup access to capital. This is ideal for validating ideas and building a community around a product or a service. Crowdfunding will be of two types. Maybe a debt-based crowdfunding or a non-debt-based crowdfunding. A debt-based crowdfunding typically involves taking the funding of the crowd, of the number of people on debt, and you have to return that along with interest after a certain period of time. However, non-debt-based crowdfunding usually involves building a community around the idea, around your business, which are ready to support you without any investment or without any monetary gains in their mind. Moving on to angel investing. Angel investing is our second option to finance a startup. These fundings are usually provided by affluent individuals, also referred to as angels. They are individuals with a lot of business experience and especially handling early stage startups. They offer to provide capital to these startups in exchange for equity. They also offer a mentorship alongside with this capital. Now, venture capitalists and angel investors are not so different aside of the quantity of investment and the stage of the startup. Usually, angel investments invest in an early stage startup. However, venture capitalists invest in startups with extremely high growth potential and which have existed for a certain period before, which have thrived in the market for some time. These VCs invest a lot of monies money of the institutional investors' monies. And these VCs in exchange take even a larger chunk of your equity. However, venture capitalists have helped succeed many businesses, which like Amazon, Flipkart, as well as Google, which now are one of the top businesses and enterprises of the world. Business finance refers to the capital and funds necessary to start, operate, and expand a business. It includes various methods and instruments used to acquire financial resources needed for business activities. It can be either equity-based or debt-based. Out of the multiple sources of business finance for already established enterprises, we are going to discuss three of them. The first one is equity shares. Equity share is a representation of ownership of the common public or even private individuals in a company. These individuals are known as shareholders, and these equity shares give them rights in the assets of the company as well as its profits. The equity shares gives them a guarantee of a claim on the future earnings and provides permanent capital with no repayment obligation. However, it does dilute ownership of the individuals who started the enterprise. Moving on to global depository receipts. We know equity shares are listed in the financial markets like National Stock Exchange and Bombay Stock Exchange in India. However, in countries like United States, these equity shares are listed on Wall Street in the Wall Street market. And list goes on. There are usually financial and trade markets in each corner of the globe. However, it is usually a hectic process to list your company everywhere and in every country. For this purpose, global depository receipts have got a solution. They are bank certificates traded on international exchanges, and they represent shares in a foreign company. It allows Indian companies and companies from the rest of the world to raise capital from global markets without directly listing their companies on the stock markets abroad. These receipts can be purchased from maybe the central bank or maybe from other private banks holding these receipts. Moving on to debentures. Debentures are a different kind of source of business finance. Equity shares and global depository receipts were equity-based and ownership-based funds. However, debentures are referred to as borrowed funds. They are an acknowledgement that the enterprise owns certain amount of money to borrow to someone, and that certain amount of money will be repaid. It's a guarantee. The acknowledgement is a guarantee that a certain amount of money will be repaid later in time. Usually the time period is denoted along with that acknowledgement, and on that amount there is also a certain amount of interest which has to be paid. This interest can be either paid in lump sum or in multiple installments. Now, as we finish with our presentation, I would like to conclude by saying that entrepreneurship and financial literacy is a path forward to empower India. It is vital for India's growth, and it is no doubt by supporting entrepreneurship and recent developments in the financial literacy, that even the common man taking part in the financial markets of India, we have empowered individuals and equipped them with the necessary skills. We have fostered innovations as well as created new jobs. We have well equipped our people, and now our people are ready to rise up to the top of the world. And now we believe that with a little more contribution and by equipping citizens with even more essential skills related to entrepreneurship, like the government is already doing, like by introducing the Startup India scheme in 2016, we believe that India can unlock its full potential. It can reduce poverty and it can drive sustainable development for not just our country, for the rest of the world. Thank you and have a nice day.